Zimbabwe's main opposition leader, Chamisa, was today denied access to incarcerated lawmakers and the Citizens Coalition for Change members, Job Sikhala and Godfrey Sithole, at Harare's Chikurubi Maximum Prison. Chamisa was made to wait 3 hours before being allowed to get into the premises, but was then denied access to his members.
I suppose they know the reasons, but they did not give any explanation as to why we shouldn't be there. In fact, we felt so bad because all the prison officers were literally shaking, from the officer in charge right to the lowest ranking officer. They were so in panic, and we feel sorry for them because you can see that they are under some kind of instruction and pressure. It's unacceptable. It can only be something that is akin to a banana republic. It doesn't happen in a normal jurisdiction where you're just visiting a prisoner and to say our prayers. That is why I had come here. I had not come for anything. They had actually given very bizarre, conditions to say when you come in, don't chant slogans. I don't know why they think that I represent chanting of slogans. But that's where we are.
Meanwhile, Zimbabwe's governing ZANU PF party is holding its 7th elective Congress in the capital, Harare, ahead of its general elections next year. This year's Congress is the party's second Congress following the toppling of longtime ruler, late former President Robert Mugabe in 2017. More than 3,500 delegates are expected to attend the Congress, which is to ordain incumbent leader Emmerson Mnangagwa as the party's sole presidential candidate for the upcoming 2023 elections.
The ZANU PF's 3 organs, which comprises the Youth League, the Women's League and the War Veterans League, have all endorsed Mnangagwa as the party's presidential candidate for the 2023 election. Mnangagwa is already rallying his followers for the task ahead.
Now is the opportune time to sharpen comprehensive strategies for a resounding victory in the forthcoming 2023 harmonized general elections. Comrades, as we convene at the National People's Congress, evidence remains indisputable that ZANU PF is implementing high-impact, people-oriented and broad-based empowerment policies and programs throughout the country.
The party has invited other governing parties from the region and beyond. Chama Pinduzi of Tanzania, Frelimo of Mozambique, South Africa's African National Congress are among the parties that are expected to attend the Congress. Delegates from the Communist Party of China, Russian Conservative Political Party, Communist Party of Cuba have also been invited.
I want to convey my sincere gratitude to SADC, the African Union, and all progressive forces for their support and solidarity in the call for the removal of the illegal sanctions imposed by the West. In spite of the deleterious impact of sanctions, our ZANU PF government is moving ahead in delivering the promises we made to leapfrog the development of our beloved motherland, Zimbabwe.
Speculation has been rife ahead of the Congress that Mnangagwa's deputy, Constantino Chiwenga, was going to challenge for the top post, but it is now not seems to be the case. The Congress, which started on Wednesday, ends on Saturday. Ditabo Sotetsi, SABC News.
Political analyst Dr. Ibbo Mandaza joins us now from Harare, Zimbabwe, to talk about the ZANU PF Congress. A very good evening to you, Dr. Mandaza. Good to talk to you. So the theme of the Congress is building a prosperous Zimbabwe, leaving no one and no place behind. The context under which it occurs, does it reflect what President Mnangagwa was saying there, that there is proof that ZANU PF is effecting high-impact, people-orientated policies? Do you agree with those sentiments?
Highly ironic, because the coup of 2017, which brought Mnangagwa into power, represents the beginning of the high level of the disintegration of what he's talking about. Since the coup, ZANU PF and the state have never recovered from that process of disintegration. So all he's saying is very ironic, to say the least, very ironic.
And just in terms of the processes within the party, at the Congress, we saw all three organs of the party endorsing him as the indisputable candidate, the sole candidate ahead of the elections next year, the harmonized elections as they've been called for the past couple of decades, really. So is it because there's absolute faith in his leadership, or is it because ZANU PF has to coalesce around one leader in order to avoid rupture?
No, I think the congresses in Zimbabwe, in ZANU PF, and that since 1984 have been a formality. 1984 was the last democratic Congress, and that yielded surprising results. Many of those in the top echelon were actually deposed, and Mugabe had to do some penal beating in 1984. So since 1984, all Congress have been very much a formality. The Congress outcome is decided before the Congress. So this is very much a formality. The only difference is that unlike under Mugabe, where consensus, one might say legitimacy, was almost guaranteed under Mugabe, under Mnangagwa is very tenacious, is very tentative, is very contentious, almost farcical, if one may put it. It's pregnant with a lot of unknowns, and the next few months and weeks will tell. I mean, it's just it's so farcical, almost comical, if I may say so.
And what is the source of that ambivalence, if you would, or uncertainty? And is there palpable tension? Because at some point the reports we're getting is that there actually would be contestation for the position. Is that being quashed? Is there oppression just in the quote-unquote democratic processes of what people's views are on the direction the party should take, the leadership stance, the character thereof as well?
No, let's remember this. This is a coup situation. Emmerson Mnangagwa was brought in as head of state, head of ZANU, as on the back of a coup. What we have in Zimbabwe is a coup government, a coup party structure. And people don't forget that. That's the bottom line. Number two, the coup itself was a reflection of fractiousness within ZANU PF. If I may say, fatal fractiousness within ZANU PF. Which crisis, which conflict, which problem cannot be resolved. In fact, there is no way that Emmerson Mnangagwa can recover the initiative. There is no way they can turn around their fortunes. They're going one way, in my view. How long it takes, I don't know, but clearly there is no way that Mnangagwa can turn around the decline, the scuttle to the precipice that we saw from 2017 up to now.
And I want to talk about the optics versus reality. We saw earlier in the year in the campaigning for the local government elections, we saw President Mnangagwa with Mugabe Jr. in tow, using him to campaign, to mobilize for support. Of course, we saw that ZANU PF losing support at the polls, seeing some say a dry run to what's likely to happen in 2023. I think the CCC won 19 of the 28 constituencies that it was contending, but there was a view that there is still very strong support for ZANU PF in rural areas, so that there's still hope. Your thoughts on this?
I think you want to make a clear dichotomy between rural or constituency-based support, in which many ZANU PF MPs, councillors have support on the one hand, and the presidential candidate or would-be president who has little or no social base throughout the country. That reality was evident in 2018. It will be even more evident in 2023 if the elections are held. So I think one has been a bit nuanced about the Zimbabwe situation. And as you say, the optical illusion where Mugabe's son, wherever he was brought, it was clearly an optical illusion, and no one ever thought about it. It's gone, it's finished. It's of no essence, of no importance.
You have doubts that elections will be held at all. Why?
Well, if they're held, they're meaningless, because basically we know that it will be history repeating itself. Elections will not and will never be free, fair, and peaceful in Zimbabwe, and more so in 2023. And one has to start raising the question right now: is it worth having elections at all? Given that ZANU PF has made it very clear. You know, one of the clowns who made a statement last week that they will win the elections come whatever, and that they will limit out the most lethal violence ever, worse than 2008. And we've already seen that. Gokwe, by-elections, Matobo last week, people were brutalized. Women were stripped and beaten up. And this is 8 months away from the elections. And I would say myself that the ZANU PF, or the ZANU PF state, which has curiously and interestingly, and the region seems to have lost the plot. This is the only country in the region, in Africa or any elsewhere, where anyone who's in the opposition is labeled an enemy, whether it was Joshua Nkomo, Edgar Tekere, Dumbuchena, MDC Changirai, and now what's his young man, Chamisa. Opposition has been labeled enemies, to be obliterated, to be harassed, to be beaten up. And the region, I'm very surprised, the region thinks everything is normal. And everyone looks forward to an election in which everything is predictable. It's repeating itself, except in more graphic form, if it's allowed to take place. So yes, to answer your question, I don't see a purpose in elections at all. Safe to say that the way the violence is already taking place, I don't see the possibility, in my view, of an election taking place next year.